Next, 1995 வரையும் I can face the so many problems. What's the problem? Leadership problem. How to manage the leadership? How to manage the business? How to become an entrepreneur? But my family is no entrepreneur at present. My family is all a doctor only. But my family, I am only entrepreneur. Complete career, complete the career. Complete the career also. Career. Okay. So that is my challenge. So no knowledge, no leadership, no accounts management, nothing. So we are challenged. Nobody given the internship. Next, nobody given the project work. Okay, perfect. So I can start a business also. I go to an auditor. Sir, I want to business. How to start the business? Nobody given the information. Okay, leave it, no problem. ஏன்னா நான் படிச்சதெல்லாம் தமிழ் மீடியம். நான் வந்து தஞ்சை மாவட்டம் அதெல்லாம் படிச்சேன்னா என்னுடைய ஊர், என்னுடைய மதத்தை வந்து தமிழ். அப்போ நான் தமிழ் மீடியத்தில் படிச்சுட்டு 10th தமிழ் மீடியம், +2 தமிழ் மீடியம், காலேஜில் தமிழ் மீடியம் உள்ள போகும்போது எனக்கு என்ன ஞாபகம் இருக்கு, கெமிஸ்ட்ரி எக்ஸாம்ல போய் எக்ஸாம் எழுதுறேன். ஆக்சிஜன் ஸ்பெல்லிங் தெரியல. ஆக்சிஜனுக்கு என்ன ஸ்பெல்லிங்? ஓவா ஏயா? ஓ. தமிழ்ல இருக்குன்னா ஆக் என்ன இங்கிலீஷ்? ஏ போய் ஆக்சிஜன் ஏ போட்டு எழுதாம ஏன் ஓ போட்டு எழுதணும்? இந்த குழப்பம் எனக்கு அங்கே வந்துச்சு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர்லயே கெமிஸ்ட்ரி எக்ஸாம் எழுதும்போது தான் என்னுடைய ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்ட்ரகிள். நான் என்ன பார்த்தீங்க, ஏ போட்டு ஆக்சிஜன் எழுதலாமா ஓ போட்டு ஆக்சிஜன் எழுதலாமா எனக்கு டவுட் ஆயிடுச்சு. அப்போ என்ன தெரியுமா செஞ்சேன், தமிழ்லயே ஆக்சிஜன் எழுதிட்டேன். ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை. ஸோ ஐ நோ வெரி வெல். அப்போ தமிழ்ல எது கேட்குறேன் அப்படின்னா, தமிழ்ல புக்கு தேடுறேன். தமிழ்ல புக்கு இல்லை. ஒரு பிஸ்னஸ்னா என்ன, லீடர்ஷிப்னா என்ன, சரி ஓகே லிவிட். அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்னொன்று என்ன தெரியுங்களா, இன்னொரு அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ். ஹவு டு மெயின்டைன் இந்த அக்கௌண்ட் பிஸ்னஸ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். ஒரு பிஸ்னஸ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டுக்கு வந்து லீடர்ஷிப்புக்கு வந்து இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் வந்து மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். எம்பிஏ ஸ்டூடெண்ட், சோமனி பிபிஏ ஸ்டூடெண்ட் எல்லாம் இருக்கீங்க. ஸோ யூ நோ வெரி வெல், பட் ஐ எம் நாட் வெரி வெல். No idea. I am only mathematics student. No. What's a limit? What's a credit? எதுவுமே தெரியாது. ஓகே, limit no problem. அப்போ அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ் தெரியாத பிசினஸ் உள்ள போகணும். அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன தெரியுமா, ஸ்பீச் வேணும். ஒரு ஸ்பீச் தெரியல அப்படின்னா டெஃபினட்டா இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்டேஜ்ல ஒவ்வொரு எம்பிஏ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஐ கேன் கிவ் திஸ் அட்வைஸ். ஹவ் டு ஒரு பிசினஸ் வந்து நம்ம எப்படி பண்ணணும். அப்போ பிசினஸ்ல ஒரு வெண்டர் கிட்ட எப்படி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணணும், ஒரு பையர் கிட்ட எப்படி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணீங்க. ஆஸ் எ பேங்கர், ஒரு பேங்கர் ஒரு மல்டிநேஷனல் கம்பெனியோட நம்ம எப்படி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணணும். நோ ஐடியா. ஓகே, லிவ் இட், நோ ப்ராப்ளம். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி டைப்ல என்னுடைய கேரியர் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறேன். இப்போ ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போது என்ன தெரியுங்களா, இப்போ ஸ்மால் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் 1990 தான். 1990 நான் வந்து ஒரு சாஃப்ட்வேர் டெவலப்மெண்ட் சிஸ்டம் அனாலிசிஸ் பண்ணுறேன். ஓகே, லிவ் இட். அது வந்து இல்லை. ஆனால் ஒன் செகண்ட் இதுதான் என்னுடைய டர்னிங் பாயிண்ட். என்னுடைய லீடர்ஷிப்பினுடைய டர்னிங் பாயிண்ட் இதுதான். என்ன அப்படின்னா 1995ல சிங்கப்பூர்ல வந்து ஜிஎஸ்டி இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க. இப்போ 1995 நம்ம இந்தியால போய் ஜிஎஸ்டி இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. வாட்ஸ் தி இயர்? 2017. Good. What is the month? July. Good. What is the date? 1st July 2017 இந்தியாவில் ஜிஎஸ்டி இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க. பட் 1995ல சிங்கப்பூர்ல ஜிஎஸ்டி இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க. அந்த டைத்துல என்ன தெரியுங்களா, எனக்கு கால் பண்றாங்க. ஏன்னா ஐ நோ த டெவலப் சாஃப்ட்வேர் என்னால டெவலப் பண்ண தெரியும். எனக்கு சிங்கப்பூர்ல ஜிஎஸ்டி இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க, கூப்பிடுறாங்க. ஸோ அட் த டைம் நோ நாலேஜ் ஜிஎஸ்டி. ஐ எம் நாட் எ மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட். ஹவு டு டெவலப்? ஸோ ஐ நோ வெரி வெல் ஆஃப் கோடிங். Coding தெரியும். Then I could go to Singapore. This is my first flight in Singapore in 1995. I developed a software in Singapore. 1995 I got software development. Without knowledge of management, that is very important. Why? I can learn more. I want to interest to what is the GST. Okay, leave it. At that time I can frequently go to Singapore. I develop a software. What is the problem? Okay, and 1997 I can start my business, international trade business, export, import business. We can start the business in 1997. Without knowledge of business, without knowledge of management, without knowledge of leadership, that is very important. How to manage? Okay, go next. So my career journey. So you can press next. Okay, wait. So this is my product in Singapore. What's the product, no? Use FMC. What is the FMCG, you know? Fast moving consumer goods. We are export to Singapore for just appalam, turmeric, rice, next. And a different type of, I do the export. No knowledge, that's the main thing. I don't know without knowledge. Without knowledge of product, without knowledge of management, without knowledge of leadership. Okay, leave it. I can start the business in 1997. I'm the managing director of Exim. My business is export-import. Right? My first business in Singapore, just right. That is my total problem state. What's the problem? I can start the business 1997, export to fast-moving consumer goods product. I can face the problem. What's the problem? Leadership problem. I can give the what is the main thing, what are the management student, different type of angle. What is the, I can face the problem for the leadership. First one, inventory management. I'm not a commerce students. No, how to maintain the stock maintenance. Not possible. Okay, leave it. Next. And next I can put the costing management. How to calculate the costing? Is possible or not? Okay, leave it, no problem. Next. So the costing management is I'm not clear. And the next, documentation management. How to maintain the documentation management? Definitely yes, I no idea. Okay, next. Right. So that is a very important administration management. So without knowledge of, in the knowledge தெரியாம என்னோட பிசினஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன். I can face the problem. எல்லாருமே லாஸ் ஆகிட்டு கேட்பாங்க. I am not lost at present வரையும். I give the call. எனக்கு இதுவரையும் எனக்கு லாஸ்ங்கிற வார்த்தையே என்னோட பிசினஸ்ல இல்லை. Around 25 years I do the business. No loss. I can come. So everything should be experience. எப்படி நம்ம வந்து எதிர்நீச்சல் போறது? ஏன்னா என்னோட ஃபேமிலி எல்லாமே டாக்டர்ஸ், யாருமே எனக்கு சொல்லிக் கொடுக்கல. Leave it, no problem. So இந்த 4 மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டும் முக்கியமா லீடர்ஷிப்புக்கு ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். என்னென்ன லீடர்ஷிப்ல ப்ளீஸ் கிளிக் பண்ணுறோம். அதை கிளிக் பண்ணி லாஸ்ட்ல கிளிக் பண்ணு. ஓகே, வெயிட். ஓகே, இந்த மாதிரி டயத்தில் நான் என்ன தெரியுங்களா, ஏதாவது சாஃப்ட்வேர் இருக்குமான்னு பார்த்தேன். ஏதாவது ERP சாஃப்ட்வேர் இருக்கா? ஏன்னா நீங்க சாஃப்ட்வேர் டெக்னாலஜி இல்லாமல் டெஃபினட்டாக எந்த பிஸ்னஸும் மூவ் பண்ண முடியாது. டெஃபினட்டாக ஐ டெல் யூ ஃப்ராங்க், வித்தவுட் சாஃப்ட்வேர், வித்தவுட் டெக்னாலஜி, டெஃபினெட்லி மூவ் த பிஸ்னஸ். அப்போ அந்த மாதிரி டயத்தில் என்னென்ன தெரியுமா தேவைப்படுது? ப்ளீஸ் கிளிக். What is the management? Marketing management is there, and human research, and as well as for international business, and as well as logistics management, and as well as for the shipping and logistics management, and as well as for finance management. இதெல்லாம் இருந்து ஒரே ரூட்ல ஒரு சாஃப்ட்வேர் இருக்கான்னு பார்க்குறேன். நோ. ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட். இந்த மாதிரி டைப்ல என்னதான் பண்றது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு ERP பண்ணணும்னு என்னோட பிளானிங் என்ன பண்ண தெரியுங்களா? 97ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன். அப்போ வந்து நான் ஒரு சாஃப்ட்வேர் டெவலப் பண்ணேன். என்ன சாஃப்ட்வேர் அப்படின்னா ஒரு accuracy அப்படிங்கிற ஒன் டச் டிஜிட்டல் ஆட்டோமேஷன். அது நான் ஒரே ரூஃப்ல இவ்வளோத்தையும் பண்ண முடியுமா? இன்னொரு விஷயம் என்னன்னா, இந்த மாதிரி சாஃப்ட்வேர் வந்து எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு என்னோட 25 இயர்ஸ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்ல நோ சாஃப்ட்வேர் இன் அட் பிரசன்ட் இஸ் நாட் ஃபார் இந்தியா. இந்தியாவில் என்ன தெரியுங்களா? எக்ஸ்போர்ட் இம்போர்ட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட், ஷிப்பிங் அண்ட் லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ், இன்வென்டரி, சர்வீஸ், பேரோல், ரீட்டைல், GST எல்லாமே 70 in 1 year. இது யார் எப்படின்னா, இது எப்படி டெவலப் பண்ண அப்படின்னா, இது வந்து ஒரு சிங்கிள் மேனா நம்ம வந்து பிசினஸ் எப்படி ரன் பண்றது மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்ல. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி சமயத்தில் நான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கும்போது தான் என்னோட டென்ஷன் தான் என்ன தெரியுங்களா, எல்லாமே ரெடி ஆன பிறகு நான் சிஸ்டத்தில் போட ஆரம்பித்தேன். அப்போ ஒவ்வொரு கண்ட்ரியா அடுத்தது மூவ் பண்ணேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சிங்கப்பூர், நெக்ஸ்ட் மலேசியா, நெக்ஸ்ட் துபாய், நெக்ஸ்ட் புருனே, நெக்ஸ்ட் ஆஸ்திரேலியா. அப்புறம் நெக்ஸ்ட் என்ன சார் அடுத்து கேட்டாங்க. ஏன்னா நான் அதுக்கப்புறம் போகல. எப்போதுமே வந்து எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஒரு எல்லைன்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு, பாயிண்ட். எல்லாத்துக்குமே இருக்கு. எஜுகேஷன்லயே ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு, ஹியூமன் பீயிங்க்கு ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு, லைஃப்லயும் ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு, பிசினஸ்லயும் ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு. அந்த பாயிண்ட்க்கு அப்புறம் அந்த பாயிண்ட கேர்ஃபுல்லா மூவ் பண்ணுங்க. தட் இஸ் ஐ கிவ் மை அட்வைஸ். அதுதான் நான் என்ன பண்ணேன், கஷ்டம் ஆஸ்திரேலியா வரை நம்ம பண்ணிட்டு இந்த டைட்டில் என்ன தெரியுங்களா, கவர்மெண்ட் கிவன் ஸ்டார் எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டர். அதுதான் ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். எனக்கு வந்து கவர்மெண்ட்ல வந்து சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் இஸ் given for the 1-star export house. இந்த 1-star export house என்ன தெரியுங்களா சொல்லுது, இந்த ஹியூஜ் நாட்டு ஜாஸ்தி இல்லைங்க. ஸ்டார் எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டர்னா ப்ளீஸ் கோ டு காலேஜ்ல போய் டு கிரியேட் த மோர் என்டர்பிரனர், நிறைய பிசினஸ் மேன்களை உருவாக்குங்கிறது தான் கவர்மெண்ட் கிவன் த அட்வைஸ். ஏன்னா இன்னொரு விஷயம், இந்த சாஃப்ட்வேர் வந்து கிரியேட் பண்ணி டெவலப் பண்ணது யார் அப்படின்னா நான் ஒரே ஆள் தான். நோ டீம். என்னோட ஃபுல் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை ஐ கேன் டெவலப் த சாஃப்ட்வேர். இந்த சாஃப்ட்வேர் வந்து வித்தவுட் மை ஸ்டாஃப் என்னென்ன எப்பவுமே ஒரு ஸ்டாஃப் எப்போ தெரியுங்களா, முக்கியமான டேத்துலாம் லீவ் போட்டுருவாங்க. அது உங்களுக்கு சொல்கிறேன், முக்கியமான நேரத்தில் லீவ் போட்டுறக்கூடாது. அப்போ அந்த நேரத்தில் வந்து ஒரு சிஸ்டமேட்டிக்காக இருக்கிற பாஸ் என்ன பண்ணுவார், சிஎஸ்டி ஃபைல் பண்ணுவோம், 20th ஃபைல் பண்ணுவோம், 18th லீவ் போட்டுருவோம். என்னுடைய ஆஃபீஸில் யார் வேணாலும் லீவ் போட்டுருவோம் ப்ராப்ளம். ஏன்னா எனக்கு டூல்ஸ் இருக்கு. என்னோட இன்னொரு சைல்டு இருக்கு, அவ்வளோதான் நான் சொல்லுவேன். ஸோ இது அந்த அளவுக்கு டெவலப் பண்ணி நான் வந்து என்னோட லீடர்ஷிப்பை ஃபுல்லாக இதில் அப்படியே ஃபீட் பண்ணி ஆரம்பிச்சதுதான். ஓகே நெக்ஸ்ட் ஓகே நெக்ஸ்ட் you can go for the knowledge. சரி ஓகே back
Sir, we'll give you another 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, definitely finish. Okay, next we can put another. This is the experience when I என்ன பண்ணேன். So totally I can do the no internship. I will go to the different college. More than 9,000 plus students நிறைய பேருக்கு internship கொடுத்துருக்கேன் at present. ஏன் அப்படின்னா நிறைய பேருக்கு இந்த ப்ராப்ளம் ஆகிடக்கூடாது. அதே மாதிரி தமிழில் புக் இல்லைன்னு சொன்னாங்கல்ல, நான் தமிழ்லேயே ஒரு நிகழ்ல ஏற்றுமதி தொழில் முனைவராக அப்படின்னு நான் ஒரு புக்கை எழுதிச்சேன். ஏன்னா தமிழ் மக்களுக்காக வேண்டிய அடுத்தது அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ் தெரியலன்னு சொன்னாங்க. இன்னைக்கு அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ்க்கு சாஃப்ட்வேரே டெவலப் பண்ணிருக்கேன். வித்தவுட் அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ் நாலேஜ் டெஃபினெட்லி டு கோ அண்ட் ஒன் மோர் திங், ஸ்பீச் வரேன்னு சொன்னீங்களா, நான் இது ஒரு 200 ப்ரோக்ராம்க்கு மேலே பண்ணிட்டேன். மோர் தென் 200 ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ். அண்ட் as well as I go to international level. சிங்கப்பூரில் கூட நிறைய கவர்மெண்ட் கூட என்னை இன்வைட் பண்ணி ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஷிப் ப்ரோக்ராம் கூட பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இந்த கோவிட்ல கூட 55+ எல்லாமே லீடர்ஷிப் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். சரி ஓகே, இப்போ நம்ம கடைசியாக ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் சொல்லி நான் என்னோட 2 minutesல முடிச்சிடறேன். ஓகே, வாட் இஸ் த பிசினஸ் லீடர்ஷிப்போட ஸ்டைல் என்ன தெரியுங்களா? இஸ் கம் டு த ஒரு 3 points ஆஃப் ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜி, வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். Number 2, how to process, how to performance. Right, 4 strategy இருக்குது ஒரு லீடர்ஷிப்புக்கு. I am not to explain details, just to brief only. Now time is over. Okay, I can click strategy ல click பண்ணுங்க. Okay, what is the strategy of leadershipல முக்கியமான என்ன தெரியுங்களா? First வந்து principle of management, that is very important. I am not explain, so I can go for immediately. So principle of management leadership is very important. Material management is important. Marketing management and business communication. Okay, next we go for the process. What is the process? Another 4 process I will give. The leadership process is 4 points. HR, human resources, is very important. And the next I can go for the shipping and logistics, very important. And as well as costing and taxation and the documentation. So there is a 4 leadership also. And the next, what is the performance of the leadership? So totally you can enter, please enter. Wait only. Okay, so principle of management, material management, marketing, business communication, HR, shipping and logistics, documentation, and then management information is last. I can definitely know for financial management. ஏன்னா அந்த ஒரு இடத்துல நான் கிளிக் பண்ணனாக்கு another half an hour ஆயிடும். அதுக்குள்ள உங்களுக்கு பஸ் போனால் போயிடும். I will not to take more time. Just okay. So this is the 10 points of business leadership. So the 10-point leadership, it will go ahead. So practically it will go ahead. The எல்லா leadershipம் I can cover the one ERP. That is very important. நான் ஒரே ERP-ல இது எல்லா 10 கம்யூனிகேஷனும் நான் ஒரே ERP டெவலப் பண்ணிருக்கேன். So no separate ERP, only one ERP. Okay, that is very important. எனக்கு யாருமே தேவையில்லை இப்போ உள்ள சிச்சுவேஷன். Okay, next. So what is the management success? Please enter next. So that is a environment is very important. Ethics maintain பண்ணுங்க. So next நிறைய ஃபெயிலியர் வரும்னா இந்த பிசினஸ்ல இன்னைக்கு வந்து கோவிட் இதுதான் அருமையான டைட்டில். பெண்டாமிக் டு எண்டாமிக், தட் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ். எங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணது எப்போ முடிவு தெரியல. நிறைய பேர் ஃபெயிலியர் ஆகும். டோன்ட் worry, the God is there. Don't worry. So ever thinks God is there, please overcome failure. ஆனா இன்னொரு விஷயம், வரக்கூடிய ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி யாரும் விட்டுறாதீங்க. ஸோ நான் வந்து எனக்கு நிறைய பேர் வேலை கொடுக்கல, சொல்லி கொடுக்கல. ஓகே, எதிர்நீச்சல் எப்படி பண்ணணும், வாட் இஸ் த கோ ஹேட்ஸ், வாட் இஸ் த நெக்ஸ்ட். The God is given for some help is that everything is okay. Okay, last ஒரு few minutes நான் ஒரு மேத்தமெட்டிக்கல் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ், நான் ஒரு லீடர்ஷிப்புக்கு வந்து ஒரு 10 சேலஞ்சு சொல்றேன். மைண்ட்ல வச்சுட்டு you are entrepreneur or employee or entrepreneur. Okay, first ரைட். இப்போமே டேலண்ட் என்ன செய்யணும், என்ன பண்ணணும், உங்களுக்கு இருக்கிற டேலண்ட் என்ன பண்ணணும், ப்ளஸ் பண்ணணும். ஓகே ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட் ஈகோ. யாருக்குதான் இல்லை ஈகோ? ஈகோ என்ன பண்ணணும், ரைட், ஈகோ என்ன பண்ணணும், ரெடியூஸ் பண்ணணும். தட் இஸ் a மைனஸ். ஓகே, வாட் இஸ் தி நெக்ஸ்ட், ரைட். ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி என்ன பண்ணணும், மல்டிபிள் பண்ணணும். ஓகே, ஸ்மார்ட்டா இருக்கீங்க. ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட் ரைட். எல்லாருக்கும் சேலஞ்ச் இருக்குல்ல, சேலஞ்ச் என்ன செய்யணும், டிவைட் பண்ணணும். வெரி குட். சேலஞ்ச் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா டிவைட் பண்ணுங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட் ரைட். எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் என்ன செய்யணும், எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் என்ன செய்யணும், அதான் நான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன். எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் என்ன செய்யணும், ஷேர் பண்ணணும், ஈக்குவல். ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட் கம்பேரிஷன் மட்டும் கூடாது. அதுக்கு என்ன பண்ணணும், அதுக்கு என்ன மேத்தமெட்டிக்கல் ஆபரேஷன், என்ன ஆபரேஷன், இஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவல். அதுக்கு அடுத்தது நெக்ஸ்ட், அதுக்கு நெக்ஸ்ட் சார் நான் தான் பெரிய கிரேட். அப்ப என்ன பண்ணணும், என்ன மேத்தமெட்டிக்கல் ஆபரேஷன், கிரேட்டர் தேன். நான் தான் பெரிய ஆளு, எனக்கு தான் டேலண்ட் இருக்கு, அவருக்கு ஒன்றும் தெரியாது. அப்புறம் நெக்ஸ்ட் லெஸ், ஐ அம் லெஸ் தேன். நான் லெஸ் தேன் யாரும் நினைக்காதீங்க. டெஃபினட்டா ஒவ்வொரு ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு. அப்போ சேலஞ்ச் உள்ளவங்க பண்ணிக்கிறோம். அப்புறம் நெக்ஸ்ட் கம் அவுட், வெளியில வரணும். எதுக்குள்ள இருக்கக்கூடாது, எதுக்குள்ள இருக்கக்கூடாது, ஸ்கொயர் ரூட்டுக்குள்ள இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஸ்கொயர் ரூட்டுக்குள்ள இருந்தா ரெண்டா தான் இருக்கும், வெளியில வந்தா 4 ஆயிடும். அப்போ கம் அவுட். இதுல முக்கியமா கம்பேரிசன் இருக்கக்கூடாது. நான் தான் பெரியவன், நீ சின்னவன் அப்படிங்கிறது இருக்கக்கூடாது. கடைசியா லாஸ்டா ஒரு மெசேஜ் சொல்றேன். எல்லாரும் ஒரு பிசினஸையோ, லீடர்ஷிப்பையோ, மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டையோ சக்சஸ் பண்ணுங்க. சக்சஸ் பண்ண பிறகு என்ன பண்ணணும், உங்களுடைய அவுட்புட் எப்படி தெரியுமா இருக்கணும், அந்த ரிசல்ட் வந்து பிளஸ். ஸோ ரிசல்ட் வந்து பர்சன்டேஜ்ல இருக்கணும், அதுதான் முக்கியமானது. ஓகே, ப்ளீஸ் நெக்ஸ்ட். ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ ஆல். என்னோட விஷயம் என்ன அப்படின்னா, என்னோட விஷயம் என்ன அப்படின்னா, என்னுடைய விஷன், அவர் விஷன் became a job provider rather than job seeker. ஸோ அதுதான் MBA ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு நான் சொல்லியிருந்தா நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நெட்ராஜ் காலேஜில் வந்து இங்கே என்னுடைய டாக்டர் ஆல்சோ இஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர். இங்கே நான் ஜாயின் பண்ணும்போதே ஒரே விஷயம் தான் கேட்டேன், எம்ப்ளாயாக இங்கே வரல, யூ வாண்ட் டு பிகம் ஏ ஆண்டர்பிரனர் அப்படின்னு கிரியேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு தான் ஐ ஜாயின் வித் நெட்ராஜ் காலேஜ். Okay, once again, thank you. This is my small presentation. Next. So, I'm the first time IT professional. I am company CEO. I am entrepreneur in international business. I am not local business. No local business. So, I do the internal auditing also. Internal auditing. I am an educationist and as well as mentor, as well as I am the writer of different type of books also. And I am also the writing book for GST book also. Now, the GST book I also developed a software. I am the managing director as well as I am the CEO of the company, and the one more thing, I am the proprietor of the company. Okay, next. Thank you. Wish you all the best. My office is not far away. My office is just to go to the next building. That's all. You know the Indian Bank, you know, Fakul Chamber and the third floor. I can give the message to the MBA student. Always welcome. Anybody if you want with the internship, in-plant training, industrial visit, please always welcome. I do that already more than different type of colleges already given the internship. Thank you. Take more time also. Thank you once again. See you. Thank you.
collecting, sir. What are you really, we are really honored. And he has very clearly highlighted that it is your attitude that takes care of your attitude. You might have passion or ambition, but it is your attitude or attitude. But at one point of time I felt, நம்மலாம் காலேஜ்ல படிக்கும்போது ஸ்கூல்ல படிக்கும்போது some of my friends used to be there. ஒண்ணுமே தெரியலையே, not studied at all. நான் ஃபெயில் தான் ஆக போறேன், நான் இது ஜீரோ தான் வாங்க போறேன்பா. ஆனால் she will go and get 95 marks in her out of 100. That is how we feel. ஒண்ணுமே தெரியல, you are wearing about 10 different hats and you have been magnanimous in us to highlight that you are going to be giving an internship to everybody. Ladies, please queue up to his office very soon. Internship or any industry visits Dr. Kamaldeep is your answer. On that note, it is my pleasure to invite our dear Gayathri. Gayathri, it's your turn. Since you are sitting next to him, since this is not a Pattimandram, so we can go towards the same flag. Gayathri Venkatesan on the topic realigning and reimagining teaching learning approach. Gayathri, please.
Education is the manifestation of excellence already in human being, said by Swami Vivekananda. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here among all these senior people, and I'm really very privileged this evening. I thought I would be the last one, but yeah, Mom just put me at the third. So yeah, pretty excited.
Always be prepared for surprises in life. It starts from here.
Yeah, happy for that. So, very good evening, young, bright minds of India. Very good evening. Can we have a huge round of applause for all of you for the took it later in case. But of course, sir faced the took it matter, but apart from my experience during my college days, sometimes we used to sleep. So my topic today is realigning and reimagining teaching, learning approach, changing factor of education. I'm sorry, I just made the PPT very last minute, teaching spelling. So yeah. Alright. So, pandemic. Definitely COVID has changed all our lives, right? Do you guys agree to it?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's actually, there is a very negative impact of COVID also across the world. There's been so many losses and everything. But today I am here to take up some positive points from COVID. Let's keep away the negative things, right? So with a very positive note, I would like to just, can you just go on to the next slide? So I just want to talk about two aspects of realignment and reimagining the teaching and learning approach, okay? So the very first aspect that I want to kind of talk about is training and skill development. Okay, I'm sure we will all agree that last 2 years of COVID, at home would have been little difficult, right? I'm sure you guys would have access to a lot of courses from your own college where you'll be studying MBA. You guys are MBA, right? All of you are MBA. Can you raise hands? No? Okay. All college degree students here. Okay, I'm sure it would have been a very tough journey, sitting from home, sitting from your home premises. But I'm sure all of you, after a few months, would have come out of that, right? Do you all agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. See, what I want to say here is, these days, okay, because of the COVID, our perspective of looking at education has entirely changed, okay? Everything, okay? All the top courses from all top universities, you have access to everything, okay? In case if you're doing some specialization in some subject right now, and if you want to do some extra additional specialization of some course from some other university, is also possible sitting from your home premises, okay? Right? So apart from that, these days even a dual degree is also possible from sitting from your home premises. So all that, COVID has taught us that, you know, education is definitely possible sitting from your home premises, and you can be a very, very great scholar in terms of training and gaining those skills, right? But there is a different aspect to it, okay? I feel that, you know, when we were kids, there used to be a very emotional connect with our teachers, you know. Though if you are able to complete courses in Coursera and it gives you even if you score 100 on 100 and you get a badge from Coursera or Udemy, okay, it gives you a badge. It says very good, you have got the certificate, now you are a certified this and this, right? But when we were kids and when we used to go to school and college, okay, and then even when we used to score 75 out of 100 or 80 out of 100, our teachers used to come to us and they used to say, very good, you know, you have done well, you could have done better next time. You know, that emotional quotient with the teachers and the bonding that you had with your teachers, I think that was kind of missing because of the COVID. So I really feel that, you know, education these days, though, you know, everything is accessible from your home premises, the emotional quotient that you can have with your teachers right now, thankfully, it is pandemic to endemic, and hopefully COVID is completely over. Now you guys have a great quality time with your lecturers and professors sitting in the college premises. This kind of an event is possible, which we never thought that it would have been a possible event during COVID, because that field was entirely that we were all new to that. I mean, COVID was a very different thing. It was very surprising. Though, you know, when we were doing online meetings and stuff, we were used to that. Okay, we used to connect to people, you know, globally. All that was happening. But this particular field, you know, standing in front of you guys and addressing this kind of a gathering, this physical presence is I think, a great privilege, you know, that we all have realized, and we should all cherish this for our entire life, because COVID has definitely taught us this, that, you know, people connection, this emotional bonding, which improves your IQ to, you know, your EQ is very important, because you can be brilliant, you can learn things from Coursera, Udemy, you can learn things from college, you can become brilliant, but until you develop your attitude, as rightfully mentioned by Sir, okay, attitude is something which takes you to a high place, attitude takes you to altitude, okay? So to become successful as an entrepreneur, this kind of a physical, emotional quotient is a very important thing. And COVID has definitely taught us that, you know, it is a very important thing to realize that, you know, this bonding, you know, sitting with your friends and talking and enjoying this kind of a session definitely is very cherishable. So, few things, alright. So, I missed a couple of points. Training, all this I think I covered. Can you just move on to the next one? So, you know what a teacher does? She ignites your mind, right? Which can never happen on an online class. So, you know, these kind of programs, when a mind is ignited, you look for more challenges, more opportunities. Okay, these days, because since you have access to so many courses, so many different things you can learn, you know, your 2 years of MBA or whatever 3 years of degree program that you are into, you have access to online academies like Coursera or Udemy. I'm not promoting them, I'm just saying Coursera or Udemy, or you have all top courses from all top academies across the world. I kindly request all of you, gain knowledge, use these 3 years, because this is the, you know, time where you can learn. And knowledge is very important, because these days everything is moving towards a very, very different era. Automation is the key game in every industry. Every manual process is getting, you know, automated. That's how we also kind of do that in our company. Okay, that's called robotic process automation. Okay, manual processes that were taking so much time. As Sir said, ERP, even ERP automation is possible these days. So that level of technology we are talking about. And I think something that you missed, Sir, is sales, because I am a hardcore sales person. So apart from all that which you are talking, I loved your speech, but I think sales is one important aspect. Okay, to develop something like that is not easy. Okay, but you need somebody to sell that as well, right? So that's when these kind of skills you can get only when you know, interact with people. That people interaction. You know, the morning when I met these people, they are very senior people. For me, it was a great learning. learning. That's why in my introduction also I said learning never stops. I look forward to learn each day. I'm not saying like it is a daily process. Every hour you should look for something very new that you can learn. And these days you guys have access to social media platforms. You guys have access to everything, so you can develop yourself. But what is missing these days? I really feel that you guys have a great digital presence, but when somebody says, "Hey, hello, how are you?" You guys are like blank. So don't be like that. Okay, have that people interaction. It is very important. It's not in common. I'm saying, I mean, as a Gen Z generation, and you guys are going to take India forward. You are the young bright minds. So my request to you would be, since COVID has already taught us that people interaction and that human touch is very important for us to look forward and move towards our career. So have that, improve your interpersonal skills, keep talking to people, present more. The more you fail, the more you kind of talk in more forums or write more or read more, whatever, you develop as a personality. Okay, with this, I don't want to bore you people more. That's all I had. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Gayathri, thank you so much. Ladies, just mark her. She was smart, woman, smart businesswoman. While she was actually trying to get across to you all to keep up that human quotient in a fast changing technology world, she was smart enough to tell Dr. Kamaldeep there is a business opportunity in automating your ERP solutions also. Hands, applaud her please. That was a great idea for me. That's a lovely one. Because take it from me, I am from a corporate. We have ERP solutions which is quite convenient. But robotic process automation is taking over many of the systems that are there within our organization. To that extent, certain skill sets and certain job shells are becoming redundant. It is actually a challenge within big corporates where RPA or artificial intelligence is taking over. You are all going to be facing that. On that note, a mindful management is the extremely integral and important aspect. It is my absolute pleasure to invite Ms. Dhivya Kannan to talk on the topic mindful management and self-care.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, it's a privilege for me to be here. So before I can talk to you, I thought let me introduce myself. I'm sure nobody knows about me. I'm not that famous. So can I introduce myself before I start?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Dhivya Kannan, was born in Virudhunagar, somewhere near Madurai. Okay, and being a town-bred girl, I always fascinated studying in a city. Okay, so today when I saw 25 years of this department, 25 years ago, same time, I was imagining I need to be in Nataraj or I need to be in Presidency or somewhere in Chennai, but I never got that opportunity. But I'm really glad today I have manifested it and I am amongst you today. So very grateful to the universe for that. And my story still went. I had a lot of aspirations, but I got married when I was 19 years old, and that was a norm in my native that girls got married too early. Yes, now it's like a mouth opening scenario for me, but we were not able to open our mouth. Okay, we were always asked to nod the head, and we nodded the head. But nothing bad happened as such. I got into a beautiful family, I raised 2 children, and then started my career when I was 30 years old. Late, but I'm doing a fantastic job. I'm able to help people because one thing I did right in the period of my cocoon stage, I would say, was to take care of myself and my family. Because the more I started taking care of myself, the more grounded I became, the more I understood my potential, I was able to help my children grow as better individuals, and then now I'm able to help my society. One thing that I am seeing as a paradigm shift now, that we have become a global village, right? Everybody's got a mobile phone with you, right? So everybody watches series. So what's your favorite series now?
Better Call Saul.
I didn't hear you. Everybody's got a favorite series? Yes, I do too. Whenever I'm sick, that's the only resort that I have. I watch series. So if I watch series, then my family knows that I'm sick. because otherwise nobody can make me sit in one place to watch a series. Okay, so with so many technology coming in and so many OTT platforms and then social media coming in, we've become a global village. Yes or no? Everybody likes Korean pop. Everybody wants to go and settle in Korea. How many of you like K-pop? So K-pop fans here? Yes. So there's so much of an aspiration to go and settle in Korea and then imitate them. It's all fine. But today I'm going to talk about something that's very basic. Are you ready to listen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I didn't hear a big yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing with you what I did to develop myself, because I didn't take the challenge of getting married by 19 as a challenge, but I took it up as an opportunity to develop myself and my family. And as a life coach, now I am a life coach. I handle mindfulness, and my office name is Me Nurturing Institute, and it's based in Velachery. Okay? NI. You know what is NI? Any guesses? Me. Tamil Neena Artham Theriyula. You. So I help people understand themselves, their potential, and help them live a holistic life. Okay? So today I'm going to be talking about practicing self-care. Okay? So practicing self-care, what do you think self-care means first?
Taking care of oneself.
Now please tell me. A little louder so that I can hear. There's no right and wrong answer. You can tell me your answers. What is self-care?
Take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I know self-care is taking care of ourselves, but what do you do to take care of yourself? Okay, to put your needs first. Okay, what else?
Keep the mind and body in parity.
Okay, taking care of your mind and body. What else? Prioritizing your own needs. Emotions. Okay, what else? I didn't hear from this side. What is self-care? So what do you do as a self-care ritual? There's a lot of self-care rituals that we do, right? Yeah, please be honest with me, because I do have that kind of self-care rituals. So what do we do as self-care? Yeah, so what I learned recently from Instagram after being inside the house for 2 years in the pandemic was to groom yourself, right? To go to the parlor once in a week or once in a month, that is self-care. To going for hanging out with friends is self-care, right? Having your own time and putting your priorities first is self-care, right? Somewhere what I am thinking is becoming a global village, we have become a little confused. How many of you feel you are a little confused? I am confused.
Confused too.
Only 2-3 people in this room are confused. Somebody here is confused? Great. That's the truth. We are confused because we've never had so much of information coming our way, right? We never had an opportunity to so much of information, that too in our hands. We've never had people coming into our homes so much that now whenever you're eating, whenever you're sleeping, whenever you're talking to your parents or to your friends, somebody is bombarding you with messages. Yes or no? Right? And sometimes this happens in the toilet as well. Right? So everywhere there is information overload, and this confusion is a byproduct of it. So today we are going to demystify what self-care is and then see what actual self-care is. Okay? Yeah, next one. Okay, so staying healthy in the mind and body, especially in the current world where there is a lot of information overload, is something that we really need to see as self-care. Okay? So, next slide. So we saw what self-care is, right? This is actively taking care of your physical, mental and emotional well-being is called self-care. See, as a life coach, I coach CEOs and senior managers, and one thing that I have seen is people start developing the companies, people start developing the nation, but how much have they developed themselves? People who sustain in any body, mind, and spirit, she will not be able to handle such a big team and such a big company. True or not? Right? So this is the time that you doing MBA, you must be learning about accountancy, you must be learning about so many other things that sir has also told you. It's also the right time that you start taking care of yourself. Right? If you don't take care of yourself, you are the first dot. It's like that, you know the top, Pambaram. Yarukku Pambaram theriyum. Right? Pambaram suttunona, that center point is you. If that needle is not there, do you think that top can go round and round? No, right? So we are learning a lot of things in the outside world. We are building ourselves in the outer world, grooming ourselves to look beautiful, having so many selfies in a day. But how much of self are we taking care of? That's what we are going to see. I'm going to give you a tiny bit of information. It's not going to be so much. So if you can even take one or two and start practicing it consistently, you will see a huge result. You don't have to do too many things in a day. If you keep doing one thing every day, in a period of time, you will see huge change in yourself. Are you ready for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why do we need to practice self-care? One is, no matter what the circumstance around you is, if you are really taken care of, you can keep spinning. Right? It does not matter if that top is going to be this shape or that shape, big or small. But if that needle is really steady, then it can go spinning. Right? And then self-care also helps you manage your stress better and be very productive. And it also helps you use your potential and build your future. See, when you start understanding about yourself and your own potential, that's when you become success. So if you will go to sir tomorrow and ask him for an internship, he promised you that you can come there for an internship. What is that he is going to ask you first? What will he ask you? Just because you are from Nataraj, nobody is going to give you that internship. Right or wrong, sir? He is going to ask you what value you can add to this company. Right? So what do you have? What is that potential? What is that you have within you that can add value to that company? If you have no answer for that, nobody is going to hire you. Right? You're not going to love yourself if you don't know what your potential is. Right? So first start with that. So you need to practice self-care so that you understand your potential and you can start building your future. Next one. So these are the areas of self-care. It is mental, emotional, physical and social. Okay? If you can touch upon each one of this every day. Okay? It's like a ritual that in one segment daily na pannirukena appdi paakrom. Okay? Something for your mind, something for your emotion, something for your physical body and something for your social responsibility. Right? So mental means it's like tending to the body. Yes, mental self-care, it is like you have to take care of your mind. So I will tell you, the mind is bombarded with lot of information. You know, this is a supercomputer that you are sitting with. No NASA or anything can have a supercomputer like your brain. Right? You have millions and millions of neurons and each neuron is equal to one supercomputer. But still, you know, it can only take so much of input. Imagine you have a 100 watts bulb and you put 1000 watts of power into it. What happens? It will burst, right? The same thing will happen to our brain if you keep bombarding it with a lot of information. Simply going through social media, simply going through whatever TV programs or the series that you are going into is going to really ruin that system inside. Your mental health is going to be affected by that. So you really need to take a little bit time off. I'm not telling you completely disconnect, but disconnect at least for half an hour or 1 hour. Even apart from your college hours, here it must be compulsory that you can't be using your mobile phones. But going back home also, do something out of your own passion, but without your mobile or any technology. Okay, that ways you can do that. And then you need to do something like to get into that mindful state. Mindfulness does not necessarily mean meditation. Whatever is giving you joy, it can be playing with a pet, or it can be playing with a little one, or it can be painting, drawing. Everybody's got some creativity in you, right? How many of you are creative here? Everybody is creative. There's no human being who's born in the world without creativity. Whenever you have to cook up stories to your parents or your teachers, how much of creativity comes from you, right? If you write that, then that becomes a story. That becomes a creative story, narration, right? So do something creative every day. That's going to keep your mental health alert. Okay? Next one.
We'll wrap up in 3-4 minutes.
And then self-care also means that you need to be patient with yourself and kind with yourself. Next. And as I told you, it is about doing what you really like. Like if you're creative, keep doing something creative. It should not be pushed by other people. What I see in these days is the social media and the peer pressure is getting too much that you want to do because somebody else is doing, right? You want to go to a place because that person is going. A lot of you want to travel, right? How many of you want to travel? Everybody wants to, because there are too many travel influencers. So every day you see this travel influencer video, even if you don't want to travel, you feel like you are missing the fun, right? So first understand what you really want. Next. And self-care practices can look like different for everybody. For that social media influencer who is traveling, maybe they want to have an active lifestyle. It does not mean you also need to be like that. For you, maybe sitting at home with your parents and having a cup of coffee with them can be self-care, right? Not necessarily other people's. So identify yours and do that. Next. And emotional self-care. This is very, very important. I see that a lot of children are suffering from this emotional pain, depression and all that used to be remote word for us. We've never heard, but now everybody is tagging yourself. I've got OCD, I've got depression, I've got anxiety, right? So don't label yourself so much. Be very gentle on yourself. Sit with your feeling. Don't distract yourself. Every time you're feeling sad, don't do something that you will get away from it. Ask yourself why you're feeling that sadness, what you can do better to get out of it rather than running away from it. That is one big self-care that you can do. Okay? Next. And for emotional self-care, gratitude is something that you will have to start doing. Every day start your day with 3 things that you are grateful for and see how your day will unfold. And physical self-care, most of you must be knowing but not doing, right? Getting enough sleep, eating well and healthy food and exercising regularly, these are all bare minimum because this body is a vehicle. If you don't move it, even if this is an Audi car, if it is parked for 1 year, it's not going to run. Yes or no? Right? The same way, if your body is going to be parked without any movement, then it's not going to function properly. So please keep doing physical self-care and social self-care. Okay? This is very important because we are all social animals. Human beings are social animals. We need to be really connected. As Gayathri had rightly said, it is a fortunate time now that we are able to physically be here and connect with each other, right? So we are very social animals, so you need to make opportunities to meet people, not only online but offline as well. Look into people's eyes and talk to them. And then do something every day where you can be supportive to other people. It can be very small help that you have done to somebody, but end of the day, think if you have done any small help to other people, that will build your self-esteem or whatever it is, it will start booming. Next. Yeah, so you can also think of self-care as taking care of yourself so you can better take care of others. Today, if you take care of yourself, tomorrow you will take care of this whole nation and the world. Right? Next. So keep safe and always take care. Thank you for taking time to be with me and listen to me. Thank you so much.
That was lovely, Dhivya. Thank you so much for actually holding a mirror and highlighting that self-care is extremely important. And ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that mental health is a definitive social issue now, and to a great extent, at least in the metro cities, it is something that people are apprised of and willing to look ahead. And self-care is all about getting your power back. It is all about telling yourself that you have it in you and you can definitely do it. Thank you so much for highlighting that. On that note, it is my absolute pleasure to invite Mr. Badhri Kidambi to talk on the concept of a lean startup.
you to Nataraj for giving me an opportunity to be with all of you today. I know I'm the last speaker. I know your attention is already pretty maxed out. So I'll try to keep it short. I'll try to keep it sweet. But my focus here, yes, I run a tech startup. In fact, I have a couple of your classmates who are interns. In fact, one of them is still doing her internship with me. Great caliber of students. So I got first-hand experience of what you can bring to the table. So I want to keep this more for you, right? Keep the focus more about you, right? This is 25 years of Nataraj College. I want to focus on the next 25 years, which also happens to coincide with the 75 to 100 years of India's independence, right? So, do you know what is the GDP of India? Anyone? So we are at, I think, a little over $3 trillion, which is 5th in the ranking. We have the US, China, then Japan, Germany, and then now it's India. We very recently overtook UK as the 5th largest economy in the world. And within the next 5 years, we want to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. Do you know what is the GDP of Tamil Nadu? Any ideas? So Tamil Nadu contributes around $310 billion to the Indian economy, which is the 2nd in the country after Maharashtra. Maharashtra contributes around $450 billion, and Tamil Nadu contributes 310, which is almost about 10% of our country's GDP. That's a pretty significant contribution. And we have, as a country, for the next 25 years, we have global aspirations. Right? The growth that India has seen in these last 25 years has been exponentially more in the previous 50 years. Right? And it is going to further accelerate in the next 25 years. So my thing is, we all have a part to play in that acceleration. We all have some contribution to make to make India the 3rd largest economy in the world, and also to see how best Tamil Nadu, since we are here in Tamil Nadu, how best Tamil Nadu also can continue to post very strong contributions towards our GDP. And there is a mission, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, there is a mission that by 2030, that is over the next 7 years, Tamil Nadu should be at $1 trillion, $1 trillion in terms of GDP contribution towards the country. So, which is a pretty tall ask, but every challenge, right, provides an opportunity for all of us to go ahead and do something. And we're talking about the entire thing was from pandemic to pragmatic. As crazy as pandemic has been, for my startup, that's the best thing that could have ever happened. Why? Because the entire mindset of business has completely changed in terms of adoption of IT services, IT products, and even the way we tend to work together has completely changed. We tend to have very small teams, and we want to have like high performance teams. The speaker earlier, Dhivya, talking about realizing your potential. How do we realize your potential? You realize your potential by matching that with the performance that you are giving. We're talking about value earlier. See, whenever, and I guess you're in first year, second year, passing out, getting a job, whenever you're trying to go into the workforce, we talk about adding value. So value is what? I mean, y'all are doing your MBA certification or degree out here because you see some value to it, right? So how do we articulate value? How do we define value? So value, I can define it in a couple of ways. One of them is, I'd say, it is performance divided by cost. So if the cost of getting a degree is X, and your performance after having got the degree through campus placements or finding a good job, if that is far greater than the cost you have spent, then obviously you see a good value to it. I can also say value is benefits minus cost. The first speaker had said, if you get a salary of 10,000 rupees the company is expecting you to contribute at least 1 lakh rupees. Right? And why not? That is why you're there. That is why you're driving value. Now you need to ask yourself, whenever you try to work, you're only doing one of two things. Either you are helping the company make more money, or you are helping the company save more money. Now, if you cannot figure out which one of these two things you are doing, then you might probably lose your job. Right? So you need to be very sure. And we're talking about, typically when you get into the workforce, right, we say you should always try to have answers to these 5 F's. F as in Frank. What is these 5 F's? Right? So the first F, whenever you go and join the workforce, is future. Do you have a future in this particular company? Is there any possibility of career advancement? Then the second F is there a fit? F-I-T. Is there a fit between your education, your experience, and the job that you are doing day in and day out? Then, obviously, as you are learning in your job, as you tend to work, and you realize once you get to work, is that you'll be spending more time with work, with colleagues, than you will be spending time with family. It just becomes so hectic. So, as you're working, do you have enough freedom so that you can make mistakes, you can learn from it, which is, well, if you have it, it's great, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Just continue to move on with it, but you want to have an answer for it. Then you want to know, obviously you're going to be spending more time at work, what is the fortune that you stand to make at the end of it? And lastly, what is the fun factor? Now we're talking about passion, do what you like, or tend to like what you do. If the first one doesn't happen, but whatever it is that you do, you have to have complete ownership. Now that's one thing from a startup perspective that we always ask. We say, do you own it, or are you just doing something because I'm asking you to do it? Right? So we call it extreme ownership. Extreme ownership means you don't get fazed by anything. Whatever I throw at you, you say, you know what, let's do it. I was reading this anecdote by this US Marine. So he goes to Iraq when the invasion of Iraq happened. He's a special forces person, and they had to do a mission at 4 a.m. in the morning, and they were all waiting for their bulletproof vests. At 3:30 in the morning, their commanding officer comes and says, hey, you know what, we have a shipment delay, so you are not going to get the bulletproof vest. So these special forces were like, okay, so what, let's get on with it. Right? So you need to have complete ownership in whatever it is that you do. And one thing I do want to finish with a small anecdote. See, I started my career in California for a joint venture between Toyota and General Motors called New United Motors Manufacturing Incorporated, which is now the Tesla plant. So Tesla, if you've heard of it, is being made in the same plant where I had an opportunity to work a little over 20 years ago. Now, one thing I learned from the Japanese, and I was also very curious about the Japanese, because Japan, infamously, is the only country to be nuclear bombed twice. So I'm thinking, hey, what is your mentality towards doing business? How are you so big and so great? You're such a small, tiny island. Look at India, we're so huge in landmass and population, but how come you got to do something really great? So, I had a chance to hear the story, first off, by this person, this very great person who actually learned in India. I'll tell you about him in a bit. So, he said, he told me the story of Sony. I'm sure all of you would have heard of Sony, right? They were very famous for their TVs in the 80s. And I can tell you that every Indian middle class family in the 1980s, if they had anyone, their friend or relative coming from abroad, their standard request would be, can I get a Sony TV? Can you please get me a Sony TV? Right. Now, it was selling like hot cake in India, and it was selling like hot cake around the world. And in the 1980s, companies like General Electric, companies like Westinghouse in America were also TV manufacturers, and Sony put all these companies out of business, which was a problem for Americans, the politicians especially. So the Congress called the management of Sony TV to say, hey, we don't want Americans losing jobs, and we don't want your TV to be putting us out of business. So we give you an option. You can choose to open a manufacturing facility in US, provide jobs to Americans, and if you don't want to do that, then we will ban you from entering the US market. Now, you can ask any businessman, the best customers in the world to have are Americans, because they are the biggest paymasters. Their economy is over $20 trillion, almost 7 times that of India, right? So we have a lot of catching up to do. Now, so they opened their assembly plant. Sony first opened their assembly plant in a place called San Diego, which is in Southern California. And the parts were being made in Japan, and they were shipped to America, and they were assembled in America, and they were sold to the American market. Now, 2 years after this plant was opened, Sony started receiving a lot of complaints from consumers in US, saying that, you know what, the TV is crap, the color is not good, the contrast is not good, the volume is going up and down, so we want to replace. And Sony, for the life of them, could not understand why this was happening, because the complaints were unusually high in the US. And Sony was wondering, hey, we are making all the parts from one factory in Japan, shipping it to all our assembly plants across the world. But how come we are receiving complaints only from the American plant and not from anywhere else? So they tried to put their mind to it to try and find out why this was happening. 3 months went by, 6 months went by, and they really could not get to an answer as to why this happened. So they sent this person, his name is Jenichi Taguchi. Alright, that's Japanese, right? So Jenichi Taguchi actually learned his trade from Dr.S. Bose. I don't know if you've heard of him. India never really had a method of putting in the forefront some of the greatest minds and thought leaders that we have produced. So this person, Dr. S.N. Bose, was the teacher of Mr. Taguchi. And I don't know how many of you are also aware, Dr. S.N. Bose was from the Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata, and he has actually authored or co-authored a paper with Dr. Albert Einstein. In fact, there is something called the Bose-Einstein coefficient. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. And you have Bose before Einstein that comes into it. So he was a thought leader. And Jenichi Taguchi, who learned, he did his master's in Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata, and Jenichi Taguchi, this person I'm talking about, is credited for the economic revival of Japan, largely. Anyway, so Sony sent Jenichi Taguchi to the factory, and this is what he came out with. This was his observation. He said, the cultural difference of working is very stark between Japanese people and American people. What was the difference? He said, whenever Japanese engineers and specialists went and assembled a TV, every single point, whether it is contrast, whether it is volume, whether it is color, whether it is brightness, every single one of those points, when they tested whether it was assembled correctly or not, they always tested it against the target. What is my target, and whether my tuning is as close to the target as possible. Whereas the Americans did not work like that. They said, what is my range? My minimum and maximum. Is it within this range or not? Right? A huge difference that Sony found out the hard way, that if you don't always work towards your target, then you already started making loss. Maybe you don't see it. Maybe it will manifest itself a little later. But you have already started making loss for yourself or for your company, however you want to look at it. So, what I want to finish on is, don't settle for anything less. Dream big, follow your dreams, try to reach those dreams. With that, all the best to all of you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Mr. Badhri, Kidambi. That was a great note. That was a very high octane, power packed note that you left everyone with. Work to your potential. It is not about working, as good as somebody else, or working for the sake of somebody else or for the sake of the expectations of others, but to yourself. On that note, I think the entire panel has highlighted that point. It is about understanding yourself, loving yourself, taking care of yourself, ensuring that you know where you're going, and being determined to go towards that. Just in a line, if I'm able to sum up, Mr. Kashyap highlighted that it is experiences marketing that is opening up now. So whatever you may be studying in your MBA right now in terms of your products or your product life cycle, please also understand the customer face of it, and please be aware of it while you're going ahead with it. And there are huge opportunities out there. Be alive for the opportunities and make use of it. And we had Dr.S.Kamaldeep. He was a real kamal of a person, of a speaker, and he definitely highlighted that it is your attitude that takes care of your altitude. You might have ambition and passion, but it is your attitude and hard work, determination. And he gave a complete leadership process, highlights. So please be aware of it in terms of strategy, process, performance, and no comparison. That was an absolute takeaway from him. Never compare yourself with anybody else, or don't mark yourself against others. Please understand yourself and learn to maximize your own selves and potential. And we had Madam Gayathri Venkatesan on a lovely platform. She highlighted that the learning platforms have changed. Please rever and cherish the one-to-one moments that you are having with your colleagues and with your teachers, because there is a constant mentoring that shapes people's lives. Even if you take the best leaders across the world, they always remember the teachers, the kind of mentoring that they had from them. Please be aware to this and be positive about it. And we had lovely Dhivya Kannan who highlighted, please hold yourself as important. Give as much care to yourself, your emotions, your needs, physical, mental, or spiritual too. Please take care of yourself so that you are being the best version for everyone around you. That was a lovely message. And we had Badhri Kidambi who gave you the 5 F's. Future Fit, Fortune Fund. I missed out one F, but anyway, it was a high octane highlight where you definitely said work towards your potential. And there are a lot of opportunities. He highlighted about the 1 trillion economy that Tamil Nadu aims for, and the kind of an economy that India goes forward with. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the per capita income of India is around $1,800 roughly. And even Bangladesh or Bhutan, our neighbors, Bhutan is at $2,200. And Sri Lanka, which is having the worst economy that you can look at, is almost at $4,100. So the per capita, the ability of, the kind of money that we take away with of each of us is much lesser than so many other countries nearby. That's because of the population, and that is also a highlight. It is a great opportunity for each of these entrepreneurs or the business minds and the bright minds that is here. Please look at these aspects when you are setting foot into your next bright days out of your academic curriculum. On the ending note, there is only 2 points that I would like to tell you. Excellence does not know any gender. Excellence has no gender. Victory does not look at gender. Success does not look at gender. When I have so many women sitting here in terms of ensuring that they are learning the best and going forward, when we come into the corporate world, I'm not here only for highlighting about the gender aspect, but diversity, inclusion, and equity is definitely becoming a marked word for success across the corporates, because because you don't find more than an average of 20% of women around. There are so many here. As you go forward, where do the women go? Where do the young girls go? Where do the bright minds go away? Please be aware of it. Your biologic clock does not go forward with your corporate clock. And that is where that self-care comes into. Please understand your highlights, your priorities. There would be instances where you step foot into a corporate world, you would be doing extremely well. There would be marriage and childbirth. Embrace it, be prepared for it, ensure that your ecosystem works towards helping you to go forward to what you want to achieve. Do not look at it as limitations. Do not keep your others who are around you trying to deviate you from your goal. Please be aware of it. And in terms of ensuring that you reach your top, be determined. And the other highlight is, while there are huge opportunities that are there, it is also about understanding yourself, evaluating yourself, taking care. And on a final note, we all need joy just as we need air. We all need love just as we need water. We all need each other just as we need the earth we share. So it is a collective, collaborative effort that is going to be taking you forward as a teammate or as a leader. And believe in yourself, trust yourself, you will climb mountains. Thank you so much for all your sharing and the lovely participants that you have been. And thanks to the panelists for having been great speakers. It has been excellent, and I think the kind of diversity and the thoughts that we brought in has been great. Thank you so much. You should really appreciate the panelists. It was a 2-hour panel session. No. And we completed it within the time that you were given.